The original Greek meaning of the word anthology is a collection or gathering of flowers in bloom. Jane Garmy.
You're listening to Writing Roots, brought to you by Aspen House Publishing.
Welcome to Writing Roots. I'm Lee Hull.
And I'm Lee Esses. We are talking today about short story anthologies.
Now, to be clear, you can have a short story contest that leads to publication in an anthology, but a lot of the times contests don't come with that bonus anthology publication.
Anthologies have a bit of a different personality in the way they're approached, especially the bigger ones out there. Yes, you're still writing a single short story that's going to be part of a collection that is based on a theme and you've got deadlines and this and that. But oftentimes, especially if you're really well known as a novelist, you get invited to the anthology.
Overall, the anthology is a collection of stories by different authors with a common target audience. You want all of these to have a similar theme, so it feels like they all match, that they fit together. Because people will read through it the same way that they read through a book. They know that they're not the same story, but they still want the same kind of vibe.
Now, there are open anthologies, which means you don't necessarily need an invite. So if you want to get your feet wet, then you can go online to anywhere you find those writing contests, and a lot of people who are running anthologies do the same thing. They often have a combination of invited and open, which can be incredibly helpful if you're just starting to get your career launched.
And that's really a strong point in your anthology submissions and finding ones to submit to or being invited to join. It is finding ones with authors similar to yourself so that maybe fans of that author will find your work through that anthology and start reading your stuff. I am personally really excited. An anthology that I'm going to be part of soon, they're working through the editing right now, has a story by one of my favorite authors, Kristen Britton. So I'm really excited to have my story in a book with hers.
So other fans of her who would really enjoy your writing will pick up the anthology and go, yes, this author that I love is in this and I want to read every single thing that they've written. Pick it up, read that, and then check through some of the other stories and then discover Lee Hull that way. So if you're an author who is more driven to writing novels, but you're listening to this collection of things about contests, then anthologies might be a good middle ground for you. Because instead of being something that stands alone and takes away from your writing, it's something that can supplement your writing. You can write from a tertiary character's point of view for this contest, so people are interested in your world, people are interested in your writing, they check out more of what you're doing, but you're not spoiling any of your stories.
And really, the reasons a lot of people will get into short story contests is actually better served in the world of anthologies. When people submit to short story contests, especially new authors, they are looking for feedback. They are looking for responses. They are looking for a networking opportunity that you just simply don't get with those contests because of how they work. You will get that through anthologies.
Well, if I become an award-winning author in this writing contest, then this publisher that is my dream publisher might notice me. Maybe, but if you really want to make friends in the traditional publishing industry, the editor for the anthology or other authors that are reading each other's stories that have agents, my agent would love to represent you too. You can network a lot better through an anthology than you can through a writing contest.
It is also a lot better for your publicity because, again, you're getting one of your stories out there, you're getting it published, you're getting it next to names that people might recognize. That is so much better served than a contest where you may submit it and it never sees the light of day.
And especially if you are writing in one of these really difficult to publish genre, something like poetry or memoir or essays, these kinds of things. Anthologies tend to be where these stories start to thrive, where somebody will find this collection of poetry and they have it on their table at home or whatever. So if you're trying to get a collection of poetry published, this might be a good way to get there and get audiences that it's difficult to harness otherwise.
There's also a common idea among independent authors that if readers just manage to read a sample of their writing, they could become lifetime fans. Anthologies put a sample of your writing into the hands of readers fairly easily. And no, not every person who's going to read it is going to become a lifelong fan, but you may find a couple of people who really like that story, who really like that writing, and are willing to invest more long term.
Anthologies are a great low-risk thing for readers because they aren't going to spend $20 and then figure out 2 pages in they don't like the writing style. They can just flick through the stories and whatever appeals to them the most, they'll read that. And it's a low time commitment because it's just a short story. But it's a huge advantage for authors. There's a lot of exposure that happens with that. So if you're looking at promoting your novel writing career, again, anthologies can be a huge help.
Now, before you get into an anthology, before you say yes to an invitation or before you submit your story in hopes that they'll accept it, there are a couple of things that you need to look at and analyze before jumping straight in. First of all, vet the company that's publishing it. If you haven't worked with them before, make sure that they are legitimate and that they will actually publish the story that you are going to submit. And they're not just going to take it and tell you you can't publish it anywhere else because it's theirs.
Also, check your calendar. Especially if you're one of those people that has to rewrite things 1,000 times before you allow yourself to publish it. Anthologies will have hard deadlines because they're working with a lot of different people trying to get a lot of pieces moving all at the same time. Check the calendar and then also look at your marketing plans in that calendar.
Look at whether you have a book coming out around the same time and can you cross-promote it or would you accidentally put yourself in competition with yourself? Really analyze the beneficial aspects of the timing of publications for what you're working on. Because again, anthologies, the short stories, the purpose of those is to direct people to your larger form writing. And you have to be able to market both of those in a way that will attract readers for both sides.
And that includes what you're marketing to your fans on social media. Are you able to step away from your marketing for your actual book and go, hey, promote this anthology? That is part of why they asked you to be part of the anthology in the first place. It's because you have a fandom, a following as an author that they want to share the love with. If you don't have the time in your calendar to promote the anthology as well as whatever other projects you have going on, then you might not be doing anyone any good. You might be better off just stepping back and saying, hey, next time.
You also need to look at the buy-in for the anthology. Sometimes the group or the company that is coordinating the anthology will ask for a little bit of money to cover the publishing and editing costs up front. For this, you need to make sure to really look at the contract. What sort of royalties are you going to get back? What is your cut?
And part of that contract will be publication rights. In the future, are you, the author, allowed to also publish this short story on your social media in a short story collection that you released 4 years from now? Can you use this story again, or is it exclusive to them?
So for an example, the one that I submitted to, it did have a buy-in, and that is in part to cover the cost of music production because they're writing a song for every short story. But I really looked at the contract to make sure my rights as the author were acceptable to me. And they had included the story itself is exclusive. The world is not. So I can take the characters and the world that I created for this short story and write a longer form novel about it later and publish that on my own.
The Dresden Files short story that was part of an anthology that I'm just thinking of right now was written from this character's point of view who's like a mobster, omnipresent, but isn't in every book. written from a completely different character's point of view about his goings on in life. So it introduces us to the world, but it's not the main character who all of these stories are from his point of view. It's a good representation of exposure to writing style and what readers can expect if they're looking at more of your stuff.
Overall, anthologies can be helpful to your writing career, whether you are self-publishing or traditional publishing. For self-publishing, it gets your name associated with other authors in your target audience, and audiences can start to associate you with a specific genre and style and consume your stories in a low-risk format.
If you're traditionally publishing, the value in networking alone is priceless. You start to get your name in front of the right people in the traditional publishing industry. You might be able to get a better agent that better serves what you're doing specifically instead of just the first agent that you got. You might be able to catch the attention of one of the big 5 publishers instead of the small independent publisher you've been working with. It's a great way to move forward in your writing career. The right people in the industry will start to take notice.
Of all of the things that we've talked about this month with writing contests, with writing and editing short stories for contests, Anthologies is one of my personal favorites. Whether it is a contest or just a submission, Anthologies really help you with your writing. You can get more of that feedback that you're looking for. You can get more of the attention that you're hopefully wanting from readers. And it allows you the most freedom to
write selfishly.
If you have a question or comment for our hosts or a topic you'd like us to cover, send us an email at writingroots@aspenhousepublishing.com or find us on Facebook by searching for Aspen House Publishing.